There's a rhythm to leadership, a rhythm to life. And when we lose that rhythm, we feel it everywhere in our focus, in our relationships, and in the way stress shows up in our bodies. And for so many people, especially those who are neurodivergent, the world often tells them the rhythm is wrong. But what if the goal isn't to change the rhythm? What if the goal is to find the rhythm that was always there? Today's conversation is about something so powerful, learning to work with the way our minds and bodies are wired instead of fighting against them. Because clarity liberates us from the idea that we're broken. Structure supports us in building lives that actually work for us, and soul sustains us when we remember who we truly are. Today, I'm joined by someone who brings a beautifully creative approach to helping people reconnect with their rhythm. Dori Staehle is a coach, consultant, and drum therapist who works with both kids and adults, especially those who are neurodivergent, including ADHD, autism, and gifted individuals, helping them move through anxiety, stress, and self-doubt so they can step into their next stage of life. Her work centers around rhythm, creativity, and mindset, helping people break free from what's holding them back and truly rise up and rock the next stage of their lives. Dori, welcome to Catalyst Conversations.
Thank you so much, Desi. I appreciate the invite. And forgive me, I am not in my drum room, but we can still make this work.
Absolutely, we can. Well, Dori, I'm really excited about this conversations because your work touches something we don't talk about enough. And that the very traits people often struggle with can also be their greatest strengths.
Exactly. A lot of people focus so much on the negative, what they can't do, or what society tells them they can't do, or they focus on the labels. But I like to flip the switch and have them focus on the positive. In fact, I've changed all the labels to reflect a more positive outlook. And a lot of kids and adults both go, never thought of it that way. I said, well, there you go. ADD in my book is a delightful dreamer.
Mm.
ADHD is a definitely hyper drummer. And ASD for autism is a special design. So there you
Mm.
go.
That's so good. Before we get into the work you're doing today, I'd love to go back a bit. Every leader, every creator, every coach has a moment where something shifts, where the path really becomes clear. Can you tell me what was happening in your life when you first realized rhythm and music could be a powerful way to help people move through stress, anxiety, and the challenges that come with neurodivergence?
Well, it's interesting, Desi, because this was discovered purely by accident. In fact, it was an accident that totally hit me from left field. It wasn't a car accident. I was standing as a pedestrian in a crowd of people at a day job, at a work event. And I was run over by a speeding bicyclist. He came right through the crowd and took me out. I was the only one hit. My head never hit the ground, though, and I thought I was fine until I realized I really wasn't. So there were a lot of different pain points and things like that. I was mixing up words for things. I didn't know you can get a concussion even if your head doesn't hit the ground.
Mm,
So it was a definite mess, and I had to find a way to get past that. I was
mm,
going to doctors and physical therapists for 3 long years, and nothing was working. In fact, my symptoms were getting worse, and it was getting a little scary because body parts were going numb. I couldn't walk up the steps. I couldn't reach, bend, move without pain 24/7, and severe tailbone pain as well. And I thought, well, this isn't good. Let me ask for an MRI and see what's going on, because I have a feeling that something is pushing against my tailbone, but I don't know what it is. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but if I'm right, at least I'll know. Well, I got the results back, and the accident triggered a rare neurological degenerative disease. There is no cure. Well, that would explain a lot of the pain and things that were going on. So, as a person of faith, I figured, well, I've got no more options left. Let me ask God, what do you got? That's what I said. Give me a way to heal myself and heal others because I can't go on like this. I was ready to give up because income was drying up and it was getting very, very difficult to function normally. And I didn't like being that way. So the results or the answer I got back, as clear as day, you can believe my story or not, but it's my story and I'm sticking with it, was a very quiet voice that said, I already did, Dori. Use the drums. And I went, oh, drumming for me. I was so used to drumming with other people. And when you're working in a crowd or even one on one, you're not thinking about yourself. I was going to events with a little cushion and things because I was in so much pain. But the pain would disappear when I drummed with people. I
Mm.
even told the doctors that. One very snarky doctor said, well, when aren't you in pain? I said, it's interesting. It doesn't hurt when I drum. So I wanted to know, okay, how am I going to explain this? I was healed in 2 weeks of drumming in my home office for just 15 minutes a day. And I never went back to the doctors. I canceled 3 surgeries and the invasive procedure they had scheduled for my spine. That was in 2014. I haven't been back to the doctor since. I've been totally fine. But I know I needed to explain the science behind it for the skeptics out there. So I told them, yes, there's sound waves involved. I understand from people that part of it is my voice, just the way I speak, the things I say during the session. We do deep breathing. And I know that certain hand movements sync up the left and right hemispheres of your brain so you can focus better. I know that drumming reduces stress. They've tested all of this out. They've measured cortisol levels. And I know it produces those feel good endorphins because I can't promise miraculous healing, but I can guarantee that you will feel less stress and you will feel joy. Those two
Mm.
are a given. I saw that everywhere I went. I saw kids that I was working with improve their grades. And in some cases, I wasn't even tutoring them. So I thought, okay, this is a full body and brain workout. We are recalibrating things
Mm.
very, very quickly because even my private clients usually work with me for only 8 sessions. And I'm tracking everything. So now I have an evidence-based approach for anybody who's wants to look that up. And I've discovered that I have a 93% success rate
Mm.
where clients have experienced a breakthrough in 8 sessions or less. These are private clients who are drumming with me, where you're both using a drum, a hand drum, known as a djembe. There you go. Djembe is how it's spelled. You don't pronounce the D.
Mm.
But even in group events, Desi, after just one session or even virtually, a corporate wellness session, one session, we would poll the studio audience and ask about their stress levels and ask them to please rate your stress level on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being very chill, 5 being you're ready to explode. So before the drumming, they were all measuring, and I've done this multiple times just to test it, just to make sure it's not a fluke. And people generally measure between 3 and 4 before the drumming. And after the drumming, they go down to 1s and 2s.
Mm. So
So
good.
it's such a great release. It's so much fun. It's easy to do. And it forces people to be in the moment. You can't think of anything else while you're drumming because you're focusing on your breath, the beats, and what I'm saying as we're drumming.
Mm.
So you're in the
Absolutely.
zone.
What I love about that is it really reflects something we believe deeply here at Catalyst, right? The things that once felt like obstacles often become the very tools we use to help others. And music, rhythm especially, connects to something really primal in us.
Yes.
Was there a moment with a client or student where you thought that this is bigger than I realized?
Yes, many times. Now, folks, keep in mind that I never drummed as a kid. I had no drumming experience. I had no lessons. I play by ear. I did audition for a church band, a rock band at age 47, passed the audition. I knew I had good rhythm. And I realized it made me feel really good. But I had no idea, Desi, that it would be so powerful with other people so quickly. For
Mm.
example, a 6-year-old nonverbal young man on the autism spectrum started speaking words after 3 sessions. I mean, that's unheard of. I have looked up to see has anybody else gotten these results, and I haven't found anyone yet. I have seen a young girl who had hundreds of seizures per day. Her neurologist recommended drumming. I thought, wow, okay then. So I agreed to work with her because I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't want to do anything that would have made things worse. The mom was okay, the neurologist was okay. I worked in tandem with the neurologist and the mom and kept it really basic, very simple, very slow, so I wouldn't overstimulate her brain. And wouldn't you know, I think it was by session 8, her seizures were reduced by 50%.
Mm, so good.
So, if we kept going, we did go a little bit further than that to see if the results would improve. And she did. I mean, she took to it right away. I've had entrepreneurs who were so stressed out because their businesses weren't doing well or they felt stuck, gain instant clarity just by drumming. So I could go on and on. It's been 13 years and I work with thousands of people. So uh, every time I work with somebody, I'm just blown away because I thought, wow, I didn't think that would work so fast, or I didn't think that they would also get bonus uh, things that would happen to them, like they're sleeping through the night for the first time. A lot of women who are going through menopause. I never thought of that. I never even thought
Right.
to ask. I just have asked, are you experiencing any changes, anything different feeling any happening in your body? Because I like
Mhm.
to track and document. Oh yeah, Dori, I just noticed I feel so much calmer and I'm sleeping through the night. It's like, okay, menopause and drumming. Never thought about that.
Well, what I see is there's something really powerful about giving people a different lens to see themselves through, right?
Yes,
And what I recognize in your work is that instead of them asking what's wrong with me, they start asking how am I wired and how can that be a strength?
exactly. As you mentioned in the intro, everyone has a certain rhythm. It's in our DNA. Everybody's heartbeat is slightly different, things like that. And if something happens or you're experiencing stress, your rhythm changes. So my job is to let's see if we could reset and restore their rhythm and improve things a bit. And I have seen women who have tapped on their drum very tentatively, tap, tap, tap. And I have asked them, is that all you got? Hit that thing because you want to, because they have, built up frustration, anger, a lot of the kids too, a lot of anxiety. And some people have trauma, but they don't know it. And I'm talking little t trauma, not big T trauma. I mean, it's so subtle, especially during COVID. People, their wiring was different, and they weren't functioning at optimal levels. So what I had them do was let's shift the beat, and I drummed with them a bit differently, gave them some more challenging beats, and wouldn't you know it, sooner or later, the warrior woman beat would pop out. That's what I
Mm.
call it, when they start hitting the drum for all it's worth. And it sounded so cool. Like it was definitely like a real rhythm, like they were, playing along to a song or something. And it flowed. And I told one woman, did you notice that your beat changed? And she said, yeah. So you mean if you change your beat, you can change your brain and change your life? I said, ooh, I like that. I think I'll use that. Of course, some people, especially, people on the spectrum and whatnot, and parents of kids on the spectrum, they don't want to hear, change your brain things because that sounds like there's something wrong. So I just say, you can change your beat, you can shift your mindset and change your life. But yeah, your
So
rhythm
good.
does shift. You get more positive because I do say a lot of positive affirmations for Christian clients. I might pull out some Bible verses or things to remind them that everything they have within them, it's already there. Everything you need to succeed is already there. There's no reason why you can't shift your beat, move forward, and rise up and rock.
Yeah, I love that. It's so good. Let's talk about the work you're doing today, right? You help both kids and adults who are neurodivergent and experiencing stress and anxiety, and you help them, as you say, find their rhythm. For someone hearing that phrase for the first time, what does finding your rhythm actually mean?
That means finding systems and strategies that work for them. Way back when my first business was Next Stage Educational Services, and I was a private tutor and educational consultant. And I designed what I called right-brained learning techniques because everybody that I worked with, I tested their brain dominance. They were all right-brain dominant. So we're talking creative, some of them were musical, artistic, but they had like a party in their head going on all day long. No concept of time, heightened sensitivities to noise, clothing tags, sock seams, fluorescent lights. And a lot of them were being given labels. Back in those days, it started out as ADD, then ADHD, now it's autism. But a lot of them have amazing abilities that, uh, what should I say? It fills into the category known as giftedness. Nobody talks about that. It is more than just a kid who gets good grades. In some cases, they don't get good grades. They just function differently. Very bright, very creative, very right-brained. In all three cases, their central nervous systems are on high alert. So I teach them ways to calm down and regulate the central nervous system using the drum. Very easy. And also, I make suggestions for organizational strategies, time management, dietary recommendations, because I found a lot of these kids had hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, like
Mm-hmm.
me. So I tell them, look, you please just, I'm not a dietitian or a pediatrician. Please have this checked out. But you might find that if you add, some different elements, high protein, less sugar, for example, stay away from red food dye, things like that, you might feel much better. And I do have a lot of referral partners so that if I suspect something, I could say, you might want to go to so and so to have this checked out to see, if what I'm seeing is accurate and if you need any other um, recommendations or solutions because sometimes they need more than just the drumming, but a lot of times the drumming and just giving them a system that works changes everything because the way most people work, especially in schools are extremely left-brained. Everything is just the facts, man, sequential. That's why we don't do well on time tests because we think in pictures, not in words or numbers. It takes time to convert those pictures into words or numbers so you can get the right answer. Doesn't mean we can't do it. We just need to do it differently. I've also trained teachers. So there's a whole different way to look at things. I think it's positive, and it's okay to be different. There's nothing wrong with being a different drummer.
Mm-hmm. I
We
love
just,
that framing. That framing
yeah,
is incredible. And you're absolutely right. I have seen it where many people spend years trying to force themselves into systems that were never designed for them.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
even at a day job. Girl's got to do what she's got to do. The economy was starting to tank, and I thought, okay, I had two part-time businesses, the educational consulting business and Next Stage Entertainment, where I found, groomed, and booked over 900 local young bands and solo artists. So I realized those things are starting to subside a little bit due to the economy. Let's take this day job. Well, wouldn't you know, turns out I'm the oldest member on the team, and the way the young gal was training me didn't make sense to me at all. So they thought, boy, Dori must be really slow. And I'm thinking, and old. I'm thinking, ouch. No, actually, I'm pretty bright. And I do catch on to things, but not the way you're showing me. Can somebody else show me how to do this differently? It's a lot of computer programs. So my boss sat me down. He showed me a different way. I said, well, there you go. I said, see, I've been telling people that for years. Some of us, especially those who are right-brained, we process information the same way as other people. So if you're shown something a different way, the light bulb goes off and it's like, oh, okay. And before you know it, I had no problem with those computer programs. Suddenly everything makes sense and bam, bam, bam. And I thought, oh, I can't believe I didn't get this before. And, people realized, okay, look, maybe she does have more brain cells than what we thought. Oh, it's really terrible to have people, put you in a box and
Yeah.
assume just because of your age or because you're not catching on to something the way they're explaining it that, there's something wrong with you.
Oh,
So
I
for
operate
all of
side
the
out of the
people
box all the time.
all the people that I work with, whether they're adults or kids, when you reframe things and put a positive spin on it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Dori, nobody told me that before. You get it." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it," because especially in the kids' cases, I'm like, "I was you as a kid. I get it now." So, but it's so. refreshing, and it's such a relief for them to find somebody, regardless of age, who actually understands you and the
Right.
way you think and says, you're okay. This is the way God made you. This is all part of your design. There's nothing wrong with it. You were not broken or defective. You're just different.
Absolutely. Now, I wonder, you've worked with a lot of people, right? How does stress and what does stress look like for many of the people that you work with?
Well, it's interesting because so many people are suffering from anxiety and stress these days, and it affects your focus. Because if you're stressed out, your reactions are different, where you might, react quickly and not think things through, and because you're in fight or flight mode, your whole body and cortisol levels are going nuts, and you're not reacting normally. So decision making is affected, productivity is affected, the way you react with other people may be affected. You may not be sleeping well. All these things come into play. And like I said, it's all central nervous system processes that just need to be calmed down, regulated, so that we can lower things a little bit and get them in the zone so that they can relax, take some deep breaths, regroup, and have a self-care tool that they can use anytime they need it, especially for those of us working from home. You can tap, tap, tap on this. 15 or 20 minutes a day is really all you need, and you will feel your stress levels come down immediately. Your focusing gets better, clarity and productivity goes up as well.
I love that. What strikes me here, Dori, and I loved our initial conversation too, but what strikes me is how embodied your work is, right? We live in a world that tries to solve everything from the neck up, thinking
Yeah.
harder, analyzing more, pushing through. But rhythm brings people back into the body. And that's often where real clarity begins, true clarity. For someone listening who feels overwhelmed or stuck right now, what's the first shift that you would help them make?
Well, again, I would help them, just take kind of my mantra, take a breath, take a break, and tap out some beats.
Mm,
Even if you don't have a drum on your end, my private clients, I can ship a beautiful drum to their house anywhere in the US because I work directly with the drum company and get a nice discount. But even people who do like the corporate wellness training, their boss signed them up, and a lot of them are skeptical. And I just say, we're just going to be drumming, tapping out easy beats and rhythms on your legs, your desk, or a book. And I found out it works. I
mhm,
thought, well, we need the drum because we need those vibrations and we need that deep frequency because that penetrates your body and recalibrates things. But I found that people can just stop what they're doing and just tap out a few quick beats on their legs and take some deep breaths and say some positive affirmations. Everything's going to be okay. You've
right.
got this. You have everything you need to succeed. You can rock this. You have no reason to worry or fear because fear and faith cannot coexist. So keep the faith, my friends, and know that you were designed for greater things.
Mm, I love that. Let's dig deeper into stress for a moment because leaders, entrepreneurs, parents, everyone listening, they all carry some level of stress, right?
Yeah.
From your perspective, why do so many people feel out of rhythm with their lives?
Well, I use the hashtag wisdom from a rockin' grandma.
Mhm.
Been around for many decades on this planet, and I am a grandma of three little ones. And I've noticed a definite shift, especially in the kids, but often also with the adults. And here's why: devices. They have created that fight or flight response. We are so used to instant gratification and, notifications and pop-ups, and it wreaks havoc with our central nervous system because all of a sudden you're going from, okay, I'm doing this thing, to now I have to react and do this thing, and they can't relax. The central nervous system is going nuts because you're shifting from one thing to another. If it's not your phone, it's your tablet, it's your laptop, it's your social media, and you've got a million tabs open on your computer. Well, what is that doing to your brain, people?
Mm,
It's forcing your brain to work overtime and process things in a much faster way. You are not a computer. So reduce or eliminate a lot of those tabs, some people, I tell them, if you have to put your phone in your drawer, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't need to respond to things right away, then don't. Scale things back and realize that way before we had devices, we actually didn't have as much stress. We didn't compare ourselves so much to others. We didn't have anxiety going through the roof like we do today.
Right.
So I might sound old school, but sometimes, you just need to unplug.
Sometimes it's good to get back to the roots.
Yeah, and if you
Yeah.
consider drumming, it's such an ancient tool. Back in the day, it goes all the way back to Native American tribes and African tribes, and they used rhythm for three different reasons: communication, celebration, but also for healing.
Right.
Every culture has drumming, right? Most of us thought, oh, it's just for entertainment. No, there's actually healing properties as well. And people knew this centuries ago. And now scientists and all these studies, all these people are discovering this for the first time, what musicians have known all along. Drumming makes you feel good. The more you drum, the better you feel.
I love that. Are there one or two simple practices people can use to reconnect with their rhythm?
Yeah, they can just tap out a few simple beats. I don't know if you'll be able to hear my drum on the computer because it does have different sound settings. If I tap this, let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear
No.
that?
Nope.
Okay. We need the musician's setting. Might not have time to do that, but we could try. Yeah, there is a special sound setting on the computer for
Yeah.
that. But in the interest of time, because I don't want to bore people to tears, you just do two beats called the heartbeat: boom, 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 boom. Just take a breath, very slow. Don't rush it. So I can clap, right? You can tap, 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 tap. You can do that. You could do something known as a stopwatch. Do that really fast. If anybody remembers the show 60 Minutes, with the
Mm-hmm.
stopwatch goes tick, 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 that's your beat. So you're going to be going that, 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 real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take some deep breaths. Let it go. And just focus on your breath and the beats. And
Mm,
just do that for a very short amount of time. And you'll notice that you might have been able to release and reset things very, very quickly.
I love that. Such a good tool. One of the leadership principles we talk about often over here is that clarity liberates, but clarity doesn't come when we're overwhelmed, right?
No.
It comes when we slow down enough to listen to our thoughts, our bodies, and sometimes even our rhythm, right? Even though the rhythm is undercurrent of everything. I'd love to shift into another topic that feels really important, the
Okay.
positive side of neurodiversity,
Yes.
right? Too often, neurodivergence is framed only as a challenge, but
Mhm.
you see something different. And I've heard that as we've spoken today.
Yes.
What are some of the gifts or strengths you see in people who are wired this way?
Well, I always ask them what they feel their strengths are. And if they don't know, I might ask them, what do you do that comes really easy to you that is hard for other people? And people will start mentioning things. And then I'll ask them about creative gifts if they have any of those. And you'll start to uncover different things that they do that they didn't even realize was a gift, or they didn't even realize that they were either super talented or super bright. And I can tell from working with them just by the way they speak. I might ask them different questions about things. And there is that common thread in many of the kids and adults that I've personally worked with. I can't say this is across the board, and certainly not with those who are nonverbal, because that's a little harder to detect. But those that I'm able to speak with and they're able to respond, they are definitely high IQ, high levels of creativity. They just, like I said, think and experience things differently.
Right.
So, since we process things differently, and we often see the big picture and how everything fits, so we can figure things out really quickly and make connections that other people can't. And we just thought it was normal, like surely everybody can do this.
Right.
But it's not. It's a big strength, and it does come in handy. So for teachers and employers, before you start relying on labels and acronyms and all that, and thinking, oh, there's something wrong with this person, Let's start thinking about what's right. What
Mm,
are the positive gifts that they bring to the table that can really enhance your team or even the classroom experience? And for teachers, the way you're teaching may not work for the student. So give them the opportunity to explain what would work. I always ask the students, what do you need to make your current educational environment work?
mm,
And they say, Miss Dori, nobody's asked me that before. I'm like, well,
mm.
there you go. You just need to ask, what do you need?
Yeah.
What's not working? And how can we help?
Yeah. Well, I love that. And you actually, you already answered my next question, which is amazing, right? It's how can parents, leaders, or educators nurture those strengths instead of suppressing them? And I get it. It's just ask the question, ask what they need in order to be successful. Um, and I love this because this is where structure becomes supportive rather than restrictive. When the right structures are in place, people can actually thrive in the way that they're wired. You talk about something I love. It's the idea of rise up and rock. That
Right.
phrase alone carries energy, mass amounts of energy. What does that mindset look like in practice?
Well, it enables people to embrace the shift and realize that you don't have to stay stuck, right? Just because you're experiencing some challenges doesn't mean that's the way things are always going to be. And I always tell people, I got knocked down, literally.
Mm,
But when you get knocked down, when something comes at you from left field, could be a job loss, could be a move, could be divorce, could be death in the family, could be anything. Everyone has something that has thrown them for a loop, right? Well, you have a choice. You can either stay down or you can choose to get up. And I chose to get up and rise up and rock the next stage of my life because I said, I am not going to continue dealing with this any longer and being in this funk. I really was feeling very negative, depressed, and that's not me at all. But it had taken hold. And I thought, oh, things are never going to change. And I thought, you know what? I don't have to accept that. I can choose to accept a different reality. And I can choose to change things and grab onto something that's way more positive and actually practice what I preach. Because I tell everybody, that I'm the chief encouragement officer.
mm,
So you have to make sure that, yes, you're going to have bad days. Everybody does. But you can shake it off.
mm.
And that's a choice.
So true. It's always a choice. Would you say that making that choice, that mindset shift, is that what gets in the way of people stepping into that mindset, or is it more fear?
It's a combination of both because some people are afraid of change or they're holding on to something negative that somebody told them. And it's usually like way back when, could be a teacher or a parent. So now they're convinced that they can't do something or they can't succeed at something, or maybe they're told, you're never going to amount to anything. I mean, just lots of negative things that they thought, oh, I'm over that. But it's still there and it's still a trigger sometimes for some people.
Yeah.
So it takes a really strong, concerted effort to say, that's not my identity. That's not who I am. That's not the way God wired me.
Mm,
I'm not broken and defective. I am just different and capable, confident. You have to, tell yourself, creative. I have gifts and talents. And,
yes.
I'm worth something. Everyone is. So even if you're at the point where things look like really, really bleak, because I was really like way, way there. I often do talks at suicide awareness events. Okay. So you can connect the dots, people.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. And I thought, I never would have guessed that the chief encouragement officer would have been there. And it would have been very easy to stay there. But you have to fight back. You have to fight back and take a stand and say, no, I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to stay here. There's more. There's more for you, much more than you can possibly dream, think, or imagine.
Yeah.
I always refer to my favorite Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. God has plans for you, plans to prosper and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. There's always hope, always. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to what everybody's telling you. This is wrong and that is wrong. People make a lot of assumptions, but I like to bust past that and really make them shift their personal mindset and change the way that they're thinking, because you might just, open up their mind and say, hey, have you ever thought of it this way? Oh, haha.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they haven't. So, yeah, you don't have to accept things the way they are. You can choose to change them.
Absolutely. That idea, that whole idea that we can still rise, still grow, and still rock the next stage of life, it's so incredibly powerful. And I'd love to zoom out for a moment beyond individual coaching or therapy. Your work is really about helping people see themselves differently, right? If the world truly understand the strengths of neurodiversity, what would change?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, we wouldn't be so obsessed with, labeling and medicating everybody just because they're exhibiting different characteristics. Not to say that the labels and the medication might be needed. In some cases, yes. But in a lot of cases, you really need to look deeper to see what is really going on. What are the triggers that are causing these symptoms? Because it
Mm,
might be a lot of different things that can be easily remedied, and it
right.
might not be what you think. So I would just say, don't be so quick to judge people and assume that you know that this is this or this is that, or accept those labels for yourself, because
Mm,
so many people on LinkedIn and everywhere else, I see them labeling themselves because this is what they're hearing.
mm-hmm.
This is, now autism is the new label. And everybody thinks that surely I have this because they have one or two traits.
Right.
Not necessarily. So you really need to look at the big picture, look at what else is going on. And, maybe there are some different things underneath the surface that can be easily fixed. And it could be something positive that doesn't need to be fixed at all. So there's
That is
that.
so true. It's so true. Well,
Just saying.
I know that purpose-driven work often starts with a very personal mission, and I can hear your purpose behind this. For you, what keeps you passionate about this work, even on the hard days? Because I know you have them, everybody does.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes when things aren't working, or the way that you had hoped, or as quickly as you hoped, I'm so impatient. It's like I want to see instant results, and sometimes it takes time. Some people take longer to adjust to this type of out of the box um, protocol, certainly, and some just need some space, and that's okay. So I've learned to trust the process. Don't force things. Meet people where they are and ask them for feedback. If something I'm doing isn't working, or if they don't like, especially the teens, if you don't want to, if this isn't working for you today, I can switch things up. I tell them I'm a percussionist. I know how to improvise. So, I need to be a good listener, really, to really tune in.
Mm.
And because, as you can tell, I'm not exactly shy, I like to talk. I need to remember to be quiet and just listen and just let them talk or express or whatever, so that I'm really tuned in and letting my intuition uh, tune into what they really need, and not, again, assume things. Did that answer the question, or did I go
Yeah,
off
yeah,
on
no,
a
it did. Now for me, I'll share my perspective a little bit. What keeps me going, even on the hard days, is the transformation that I see my clients go through. And I think it's the same for you, Dori, right? It's that transformation. And when someone gets that spark in their eye because they had a shift, and that
Yes,
shift means everything.
exactly. I mean, nothing lights me up more when you see what I call the click.
Yeah.
Suddenly things click and everything makes sense, and you can see it in their eyes. They
Mm-hmm.
just light up, and it's like, oh, there he is. Okay. And it's just so powerful. I'm getting all choked up here, because it's like, oh, we can hear like the hallelujah chorus or something, practically, because it's like, oh, there we are, there we are. And just for them to know, look, and I always tell them, look at that. You achieved something, and that you didn't think you could. I mean, look, you're playing an instrument that you've never even touched before, and look how well you're playing. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can, accept that challenge, and you soared above it, imagine what else you can do. And it permeates, and they start thinking, that's right, I did this goofy thing, and I'm really good at it. So what else am I good at? Well,
Mhm.
there you go. My work is
Right,
done here.
right. What I'm hearing is when people feel seen, truly seen,
Yes,
something shifts, right? Their
yes,
confidence grows, their possibilities, they just expand. And really they begin to believe they can step into that next stage of their lives
yeah.
so
And
ready for whatever
well,
it
when they
is.
know that someone is on their side and they're rooting for them and they're not trying to, I tell them, they're not here to, I'm not grading you, I'm not judging you. If you miss a beat, it's okay. It's not a big deal. I just want them to be free in who they are and, know that they have a different rhythm. And I hope they can feel my heart because I do pray and I bless the room and I bless the drums if it's a group event beforehand because I want to set the intention and set the space so they know it's a safe place and they can release and shift and just do wonderful things.
Mm. I love it. It's this is all this whole conversation. It's the kind of impact that ripples far beyond one person, right? Because that person that's having that shift, that transformation, they're going to have a ripple effect on everybody else around them.
It's amazing, Desi, because it can change the family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I never even thought about that. So I started consulting with the parents a little bit, especially if I noticed some friction between, like, usually mom and the son, for example. It's like, you might want to try this or look at it this way or things like that. And they're getting along better in many, many cases. That the families are getting along better. They're giving the kids some space if it's spouses or whatever. They've learned that somebody needs to be communicated with differently because they process things differently or whatever. I never really thought about that. And also, I've done a train the trainer programs
Mm,
with different people. And there's a woman in Florida that I worked with, and she is the director of a nonprofit that deals with victims of human trafficking.
mm,
So I trained her, and now she's going to be work training hundreds of people doing this drum therapy program. That's just mind blowing in itself. And then she
mm.
told me, oh, by the way, we also have a prison ministry. So she's going to do this because we gave her some drums and things like that. It was covered by grant money, which was great. I never thought that it just takes one person to affect change in another person, and the ripple effect is now going to go out to hundreds,
Exponential.
maybe thousands of people that
Mm-hmm.
I've never even met.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I know, mind-boggling.
It is all from just doing this fun thing that I thought would
Mhm.
be a great way to shift things. Who
Uh,
knew? 13 years later, who knew?
who knew? Well, the universe did. Um, I love this conversation so much. What I would love to do with you, Dori, is we're going to move into our Catalyst Leadership Lightning Round. And these are short
Oh gosh.
answers, gut reaction. Okay.
Okay.
What does great leadership look like to you?
Great leadership is bringing others along and making sure that you have acknowledged their gifts to let them soar.
Mm,
Not micromanaging them, but making sure that you have enabled them and empowered them.
mm. What's one mindset shift that changed your life?
I think that what shifted for me was that to know that what I do has value
Mm.
and
When you
that
feel, yeah,
okay.
when you feel overwhelmed, what helps you reset?
Oh, I have to remember to drum. Again, practice what I preach. And also to tell myself, if you're stressed out or whatever, I have to remind myself, this too shall pass.
Mm,
I have overcome things before that are much worse than this. If I've done it before, I can do it again with God's help, in my case. And so I have to remember to keep the faith and just to keep drumming and breathing and being able to, get some extra clarity and perspective on the situation.
mm. What's one strength you see in neurodivergent leaders that the world needs more of?
Ah, the creativity is off the
Mm,
charts.
I love it.
So embrace that, and having different ways to view things and having different solutions often instantly is a really big strength.
Mm. What does living with soul mean to you?
Oh, just being grounded, I think, in what you do, and if you're a person of faith, in that connection as well, and um, just knowing that there's way more out there than what you realize. So getting connected to that is very, very important.
Mm. Dori, this has been such a powerful conversation. What stands out the most to me is the reminder that rhythm is everywhere.
It is. It's in everything.
It's in everything, right? It's not just in music, not just in leadership, it's in the way we move through life.
Right.
And sometimes the greatest breakthrough doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from listening more closely to the rhythm that's already inside us. Your work reminds people that they're not broken, they're not behind, and they're certainly not too late, right? They simply
Never.
need the space, the encouragement, and the tools to rise up and rock that next stage of their lives. Before we wrap up, I'd love to ask one final question. If someone listening today feels discouraged or stuck, what would you want to say directly to them?
Oh, I would just say, darling, hang in there
Mm,
because things will get better.
mm.
Don't
That's
give up.
Yeah, that's such a powerful reminder. You're never too old, it's never too late, and the rhythm of your life is still unfolding. So I want to say thank you, Dori, for bringing your creativity, encouragement, and wisdom to Catalyst Conversations today. And to everyone listening, please remember clarity liberates, structure supports, and your soul sustains. We'll see you next time on Catalyst Conversations.
Thanks so much.